Hello again, everyone. I wanted to make a follow-up video on my modified double horse 9104 that you've seen flying in some of my videos. Right beside it here, I've got a double horse 9104 that is totally stock. The nose cover is removed on it, and I just wanted to detail some of the differences between the two. You can obviously see when you set it like this that the battery on the and the motor is the striking difference. Get down here, you can see the motor on the stock 9104 here is down underneath and sits just behind the stock battery, where on mine I've moved it to the top, and then I can fit a bigger battery inside down underneath. Also, one obvious thing is my modified one is a 4-channel, so I now have aileron control, which is really very nice. On this is just a stock setup here. You can see the stock servo on it, and just has one. They call it a 3.5 channel, but actually it's really just a 3-channel setup. You've got main motor control, tail motor control, which is basically your rudder, and then your servo here controls your forward and rearward pitch. Okay. Now, to detail some of the other differences between the two, you can see here when I pull them up beside them, on mine I've actually reversed the tail motor and the rotor and flipped it over, and it's pointing the other way now. The reason I did that was because I was going through tail motors quite often. I was only getting about 10 flights out of them. They were overheating on me severely and burning up. So what I did, the reason I did this was I turned it the other way. It'll bolt right up. It's no problem to do that. And I've cut out, you can see what I've cut out here. You can look at this one and see how enclosed this is, which holds a lot of heat. And I've got a little heat sink on here that helps with it. And when you flip them around this way, you have to reverse the polarity on the motor, so you just have to take the wires off and resolder them in reverse configuration so that the motor spins the opposite direction. It's no big deal. It's a DC motor. They can turn either way equally well. One other thing that I did, I mentioned in one of my other videos, was I replaced the wiring back here because these come with stock with 24 gauge wire in them, and I don't think it's big enough to carry the load that this little motor can pull on amps. Especially when the battery, what I noticed was when the battery started going down on it, you're losing voltage and you're pulling more amperage, and I don't think the wires that are in here can handle the amount of amperage the motor's trying to pull as your voltage drops. And I don't know if a lot of you've noticed, but what they'll start doing is overheating, and then the helicopter just starts spinning around and around in a circle, and eventually if you keep flying it, as your voltage drops, you'll burn up your tail motor. So with that said, that's what I did back here to modify that, and it has really helped this one here as far as that's concerned. When I stop flying it now and check, I mean, I can put my hand back here and the motor is warm, but it's not hot enough to burn you. I noticed before when I was flying it, when I would stop towards the end of a flight, actually I'd have to quit flying because I'd start losing control because the tail motor couldn't counter the torque of the main motor, and it would just start spinning in a circle. So I'd set it down, and that tail motor would be so hot that you couldn't even put your hand on it, and that's why they were burning up. It just burns the windings out of them. But like I said, since I've configured it like this and put the larger wire in there for it, it has really helped it tremendously, and I have not had that problem. So some of the other things, guy asked me today about my swash plate, and I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's the swash plate on this setup that I've used, and you can see it sticks out a lot more than the double horse model does. It's a lot wider, and that gives you a lot more cyclic throw on your swash plate. Some of the other things that I've done here, I have increased the throw of the bell crank, which is this right here. You can see I've actually taken this off and moved it in. You can see the stock one here. Okay, get a look at it. It's 1:1. Okay, mine, I haven't measured it to see what the ratio actually is, but it's probably about 2:1 on the ratio because I cut it off and moved it over as far as I could up against the bearing there, and gives it a lot more cyclic throw. That combined with the swash plate down here makes a huge difference in the amount of cyclic authority that you have on it to make the helicopter fly forward, reverse, or side to side. It makes a huge difference in the way it's configured. One other thing that I found on these double horse helicopters, I've got some 9116s too, and that is actually, I think, one of Double Horse's better models. It actually will fly out of the box without a lot of modification to it. But the bad thing is the swash plates will come apart on them. I had one come apart on me when it was in midair, and I lost control, and I got it down on the ground without tearing it up too bad, but it did hit pretty hard. So the main thing I'm going to do, I'm actually going to try this swash plate on one of those in the future and see if I can make it work with the double horse configuration on their servos. I don't know if I can or not, because it's a totally different setup than what I have on this one right here, so I don't know if I can make it work or not, but I'm going to give it a try and see. One of the major things that I did on mine compared to this one, I noticed that on the stock configuration, I mean, the main motor down under there would overheat, and I couldn't get any flight time at all out of the stock configuration. And I hear a lot of people complaining about the 9117, which is the same helicopter. It's just a 4-channel setup like I've got on mine. They've got the motor down under here, and the motors are overheating. They cannot get any air to them down underneath here, and they overheat and lose power. So that's to solve that problem. That's why I went with this configuration right here and moved the motor on top, and I cut out the canopy. You've seen in some of my other videos, the canopy is open here so that you're getting airflow down to the motor, and it really helped that a lot. Stop that overheating of the main motor, and you get a lot more power out of them that way. You're not pulling as many amps, and in turn your battery will actually last longer if it's like that. One of the other things I did, you can see here, this is the 370 super motor, and the nice thing about it is they'll last a long time. They have roller bearings in here instead of just it's just a bronze bushing in the regular motor on the stock 9104. And you can also change the brushes on these as they wear, and keep them alive a lot longer, where the stock motors, you just take them out and throw them away. And for the price I can get these, it's well worth the money to get these right here, because they do make more power than the stock motors. You couple that with the battery down here, a good lithium polymer battery, and there's a huge difference in the power output and how well they'll fly in the wind. So I know I took this guy right here when I got it. I worked with it and took it out. I just wanted to test it, and the wind was blowing about 5 miles an hour, and it had no forward flight capability at all. And I hear a lot of people online talking about even the 9117. They're adding weight in the nose, and they're complaining about how sluggish they are. Well, when you add weight to it, you're making that problem worse. Your motor overheating problem's worse. That's just not the way to go. Really, what you want to do is change this setup here and get more cyclic authority on it, so this thing can fly. It changes the angle of the blades, and they'll fly so much better that way, and then you're not adding weight, and it will perform much, much better for you. So I hope that covers pretty much what I've done here to get this one to fly like it does. Again, if you have any questions, just post them in the box below. Thanks. Bye.